Right.
That they might need that sometimes kids need help with
Okay, so how would you word
what's
it?
the next choice. So maybe
As
after
needed?
discussion, invitation to return to play, or an invitation to return to play after discussion as needed. Because again, for those kids who aren't staying for the discussion, they got it. They got the invitation. They know what to do. And
Okay.
so it's only the kids who are kind of awkwardly standing around after the discussion.
Right.
They don't really know what to do. But I did hear the verbal invitation or a choice to stay longer in that. And I think too with the thank you, like with Christian and Joseph, for me I think it would be fine to just stand up and say, oh hey guys, I'm sorry I missed you. Thank you so much for coming over.
Yes.
And that would have been,
That's a good idea.
I met it.
Right.
You know?
So, come here.
It was just, hey, I acknowledged you. Sorry, I missed you. If they get away from you,
First, that's
you know.
Cindy speak. Come here. Okay. Because still that's your affirmation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you say it was met?
It was met for those two who already left. Yeah.
And then asking leading questions, open guide conversation. And that was during the story and after. Okay. Are you ready? For the very end?
You know what well, let's keep going and then I'll bring that after
Okay.
we see this.
Okay.
You know what I feel like I need to do? I just want to see if she actually did hit him at all. I think she was trying to give him a fist bump or something. I just want to see if she actually did anything. I'm just curious.
Before we do that, let's just talk real quick. So what was it you said that you like to do in the morning? We're gonna clean this room. And so when you come home, you have nice clean. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for telling the story.
Oh,
And what do you like to do?
I see what happened there. She just got close to his foot and so he went, ah!
Oh.
And so she was, oh!
Oh.
Whose turn is it? Turn in. Okay, maybe you want And is there anything else you want to do? Get ready. Do you have your pages on? Yeah, practice. That's a good idea. So that you have lots of How about now? You want somebody to hold you now? You do? I'll give you a hug. All right.
There's only a second there, huh?
Yeah, he seems like a really, really sweet kid.
And a high five if you want. And
What's that other one? I don't.
Very good. So you did give every single person a thank you and one of those physical affirmations.
Yay.
And there, during the discussion, there were some of those leading questions to open up some of those things. What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing to do? Go see my friend. Oh, what's his name?
But I didn't do number 3 on 7.
No, and again, you know, I'm thinking they're just like, okay, adios. So that really is one of those
I mean,
things
if we were
where,
gonna score it like it is right now,
yes, it would
be
have to be a partial. And I think that's like the number 3. I don't think that,
But if you
seeing
change
this
it,
now, it looks like it's not worded with the intent.
mhm.
Because I think wording with the intent that would have been met. It's really about those kids who were just kind of like lost in what do I do now.
So invitation to return to play after discussion as needed.
For
Okay.
those kids who are still there.
And I got a little bit more feedback on the skill set rubric that we might want to consider. Excellent learning objective, by the way. So on number 1, 5-minute warning, possibly after eye contact, we might want to add with each child to be in the small group.
Oh, okay, yes. So whoever's there for that day out of our group. And we did have on there the one other to be determined, and we can write Miguel's name in there. I was just noticing on the objective itself. Here, we'll read to Christian, Diego, Axel, and one other to be determined, Miguel. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then say child's name.
Not Axel, Diego.
Right.
I'm with you though, I get it.
So say child's name and state that each child is going to take a break and read a story in 5 minutes.
So instead of like the exact dialogue, yeah.
And then 3, show each child the 5-minute timer.
Yes, instead of like the them, each child. Okay.
Let's see. Oh, and I don't know if you want to do this or not, but what about adding anything about gathering the materials? Like the book, to get it ready. So I know I did that. I mean, I got my book into that little library area. I found the timer. It could be an extra skill.
Yeah,
If
I'm
you
almost
wanted it.
thinking like skill 0
Or 1.
would be prepare. 0.5, that's fun. I'm putting 0.5 because I like that. Skill 0.5.
I love your sense of humor. Okay, and then...
Yeah, as a prepare for story, which would be gather timer, book, check area for story, so I can make sure it's set up. And actually, if I'm making those changes, that's going to be to gather the timer, book, and seat mounts for the assigned seating. So I think that would really work. Gather timer, book, and seat mounts. Check area for stories, so just make sure, is there actually a library there? Did they move something in the room that's gonna make things weird for me? And identify children present.
And do you think you're gonna need anything in addition? Like, I know I needed for my learning style, I needed something like this. I even needed to color code the touch and the eye and the red timer, and those help me so I can see it.
Mhm.
So, do you think you're gonna need any extra support?
I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking I'd rather not have it, so I'm gonna try in my practice thing and see,
Okay.
are there cues that I'm missing that I need some little cue card or something to help me out with?
Okay, very good. And then on number 2, it's just, and I know I was just trying to save space by saying same as above. Touch for attention and make eye contact. You know, spell it out.
Okay.
Same with number 3. Make eye contact. And then,
Well, now that is interesting. Now that you had mentioned that and you were saying that Miguel was difficult to make eye contact with, there are definitely children who are uncomfortable with eye contact. So what would be the
I wonder if
the
you-
adaptation there?
Yeah, I wonder if a question like.
I don't think that we have that with these kids. I think I can get their
Mm-hmm.
I think I can get their eye, but that's very interesting for that adaptation.
Mm-hmm. What about a question like, do you understand the directions? You know, and maybe if they're not looking at you, they're still nodding their head.
Or what's happening in 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good observation.
That just might be an adaptation consideration at some point in time.
Right, okay.
That some kid might need. Some kids will not make eye contact. Autism children are usually very uncomfortable with eye contact, and
Now this is interesting too. In number 3, where it says and at 3:3, use extra guidance if needed. What does that mean if needed? Is it if he doesn't engage within 20 seconds?
oh boy, trying to get that specific about it is so difficult for me.
Yeah.
Like if they're not moving over. I haven't thought about time limit.
Well, these are
What's
just,
the time
and these are
limit I
just
would give?
suggestions.
That's always kind of one of those things I intuit based upon my relationship with the child and all those things, you know. Just that intuition. Do I
Or
need to do
even
that?
even if it wasn't seconds, maybe it's by the time everybody else got to the group. Something that's a little more obvious than seconds.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait that long.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking that would be really hard then for me to keep the group there while I'm going over to do who knows what with this one kid.
Yeah.
They're saying like, what are you doing?
Well, it's something just to think about anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, instead of say title of the story, read title of the story. 'Cause that's what I really am doing, or you're doing, is reading the title of the story. Number 6, possibly, wait a minute. Yeah, number 6, verbal invitation, choice to stay longer in the add small group. Makes it more specific.
Okay.
Or go back to their previous activity. Ask leading questions. So asking leading questions. And then they, and what does that mean? What what do you mean by leading questions?
It's like, would it be helpful to have some examples?
Sure.
Because for me, it's almost even, I mean, the first thing that I thought of as an example actually isn't even a question. But so tell me, what do you do to get ready for school?
Or a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Comment or ask leading questions? Or ask questions? Input examples? A couple of examples maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to add this in,
Have
or
you
do
ever
you want to add this
felt-
in?
Have you ever felt angry when you come to school? Have you ever felt sad when you come to
And
school?
these would just be examples.
Those kinds of
so.
things, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just examples.
Now, do you want me to send this to you to help with that, or do you want to do it, or do you want me to add these in and send it to you?
If you could add them in and send it to me,
Okay.
because you already have them all in red. You can change it to black, those things.
Okay. And then, now I tend to show every page, well, definitely every page for pictures. And then for eliciting responses related to the book, I didn't think about how many. I tend to say something almost on every page. I think I did ask a question or make a comment or something for every page. Do you want to do that many?
I don't want to say that I have to for every page,
Okay.
no. Maybe two to four.
Yeah, you see,
Or
you
at
have
least, I want to say at least two, because there's those 2 pages
so
that
I
have
was thinking
interaction.
too. I love that.
At
The Velcro
least.
pictures. They were really into that. Okay, at least 2 pages. All right. Anything else you can think of that you would want to change or adapt?
The other thing that I thought of that I said, oh, I'll talk about it when this whole thing is done. I just couldn't remember it. And I thought, oh, I just remembered it again. I'm thinking that maybe what I'm needing to do, now I'm not sure about how to do this, because our 6 and our 7 are so kind of intertwined. Because some kids can leave and some kids can't. But I'm thinking at this point, then I'm thinking what might work better, because I'm noticing that while you're talking with some kid, another kid might be like, oh, okay, well, I don't really feel like waiting around until it's my turn. I'm just going to go ahead and leave. Those kinds of things. So I was thinking, boy, how are you really making some kind of, giving some kind of affirmation to each kid for being there? So I'm thinking maybe what I need to do is give that verbal invitation of a choice to stay longer in the group or go back to previous activity. And at that point, or even right before that, you do the thank you. Almost so like my 7, I think this is actually what I probably just need to do, is just flip-flop numbers 6 and 7. So 7 will now be 6. And so it will be I'm eliciting responses to the book. The end. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for all being here and listening to the story. Give everybody a high five. If you guys would like to go and play, you can. If you want to hang out and talk a little bit more about what you guys do to get ready for school and what it's like to come to school for you, we can hang out and talk about that.
That seems to make the most sense.
That really does seem
Switching
to
those
make
two.
more sense. And
Okay.
so then for that one, it'll be a thank you, physical affirmation, invitation to play, and then number 7 is really just about ask leading questions to open up.
Switch them.
or guide the conversation.
Okay.
So then that number 1 isn't in there anymore. So then that just really is a met or unmet. Did I ask the leading questions and stuff in the group? Because I just gave my verbal invitation at the end of 7. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
That just really, I could really see how kids were just kind of like, do I want to hang around? I kind of want to hang around. I'm kind of coming and going because,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to wait and listen to what they have to say. Oh, I might get another chance to say something now, so I'm going to come back. And it kind of alleviates all of that, and everybody got that,
Mm-hmm.
that affirmation.
And I think that really addresses both your learning style, your teaching style, really specifically your teaching style, and the children's needs in that one. So are there any other modifications you might need for your learning style? So you did say you did not prefer a prompt or
Yeah, I'm going to keep that option open, but I'd rather not have those. But I'm definitely keeping keeping the open option. But I want to see if there's a couple things in here that I know are going to be a little bit difficult for me to remember. The talking what the story is about. I anticipate I might miss that one, but I think that that just might be. I just need to do some study on that. Some looking through this.
What about a sticky note on the front of the book?
Practice once or twice at home.
Just a sticky note.
Oh, that is such
reminding
a
you.
great idea, Cindy. I love that.
Thank you.
Yes, that would be perfect because, yeah, that is so unobtrusive and it's just right there, and
I do that in a lot of trainings.
that
Just
is
sticky
an
notes.
excellent idea.
For what it's about. Okay. Now, if you don't have any other modifications in terms of your learning style that you remember right now or think about right now, what about modifications needed for individual children? Now, we were talking
One of those would be
specifically
the
about-
seat mats. I think seat mats would be a good modification that will help some kids who've had kind of a hard time with space. You know, I started noticing as other people started kind of entering the group, then it says, I can't see, my arm is there, and those kinds of things.
You may have to have a few extra mats.
Well, and they all have their names, so I could do you can go ahead and grab your mat and come sit right here.
Okay,
And so then I could be defining space as we go along.
right, okay. Any other individual children?
Because they all have mats with different pictures on them. So I definitely was seeing that might be helpful. I had the modification of definitely the smaller rings for the book and probably bigger holes in the book, just because like it's kind of hard to turn. So I have to dig out my smaller rings and practice that. Smaller rings just might be thinner. I think the smaller rings are thinner anyway.
I think you're right.
I think they are.
Okay, so, and I know you didn't have any children in there today, but if you did have a child with special needs in the classroom, what kinds of things might you do to adapt for them? Let's say you
I'm
had a
thinking of
child
things
with
that
a
I've needed
wheelchair
to
or...
adapt in the past. So,
Okay.
yeah, one of them would a wheelchair. Then it might be done at a table instead, so everyone's at the same height. Or helping them move down to the floor, depending upon the needs of the child. You know,
Okay.
can they sit on the floor with the group, or should the group move up to a table for them?
Okay.
I was also thinking of the that am I saying that I'm requiring the eye contact if it's a child with autism? Might there be another way to do that? To say what I'm saying, I know that they're hearing.
And in some of those situations, you may actually have your resource person to discuss that with.
And we have, I've had kids who have a difficult time sitting in a circle or staying in a seat, and we have things like chairs with the sides that help kind of define the space. We have a weighted pillow that we use for some kids.
That would be for challenging behavior.
To help them, to help them with the sitting in the circle.
Perfect.
Fidget toys, if there's a child who needs that. And those mostly, I would assume, would be identified by whatever strategies that they're using during their normal story times. Then I would want to incorporate those same strategies into this story time. So it's part of that routine and stuff that they're used to.
Okay, well, I'm excited to move on to behavior rehearsal.
Yeah.
And we'll get to do that. We'll get to do the brief for that, the behavior rehearsal, and the debrief all in the same day. So I think that'll flow nicely together.
The other thing that I'm just seeing that I think would be helpful for the kids and would be helpful for me is if I make another copy of that book and have it in there right now.
Oh, okay.
Because they've been introduced to it, that they can right now be playing around with it and experiencing it a little bit.
I'm glad you said that because
I'm holding my copy and stuff,
Yeah.
I want to leave this in here, but then I thought, well, I don't know that I'm going to have all my little pieces for when I need to do my next thing. But if I get a second copy, then I'm not going to worry about.
Yeah, because did you
Did
hear
you
what
lose
that
one of those pictures?
Did you hear what that one little boy said as I was leaving? It says, "Where are you taking that book?
Oh, really?
Are you taking that book?" And I thought about that, and I said,
that interaction and just to practice and play with that interactions.
I said, Miss Rachel and I are going to go talk about the book, but I'm going to bring it back. It's going to come back to your room. So that's a great idea. All right, thank you, and we'll move on to behavior rehearsal.
All right.